It is Tuesday, March the 1st, 2022. This is the Tuesday evening regular meeting of Golden Speakers Toastmasters, Fairfield, Iowa, club number 7515. Tonight's theme is autonomy, and we have some interesting quotes. We have a visionary communications speech by Nick Campney. The mission of our club is to create a positive and supportive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop verbal communication and leadership skills, which foster self-confidence and personal growth. Tonight's meeting is conducted by a Toastmaster, Mr. Bob Fogel, who will take the control of the meeting now and begin the meeting introductions. Take it away, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our viewers at home, and our soon-to-be-coming Toastmasters at 7:47, 8, somewhere along there. Our first role is my job to introduce the role players, and the first being is myself. I am the timer, and the timer's role is simply this. For table topics, I will be showing a green card at 1 minute, and then a yellow card at a minute and a half, and at 2 minutes will be the red card, and then you'll have 30 seconds to wrap it up. Our evaluator this evening for the table topics will be 2 minutes at green, 2.5 at yellow, and 3 at red, unless the evaluator chooses to go 3 to 4 minutes, at which time it will be 3, 3.5, and 4. We'll have a speaker this evening, a prepared speech, and Mr. Campy. He will be giving a speech, and his speech will be between 5 to 7 minutes. And at 5 minutes, I will show the green card. At 6 minutes, the yellow. And at 7, the red. And at which time, Nick will have another 30 seconds to wrap it up. At this point, that's my finish up for the timer. We're going to move on to our grammarian, which is Alex Givens. Alex, take it away.
Thank you so much, Bob. Great evening to all my beautiful Toastmasters, my fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. My two main responsibilities as a grammarian. I have two main responsibilities as a grammarian. My first responsibility is to pay close attention to all speakers, listen carefully to their language usage, and also take notes to any proper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, and saying and thoughts. My second responsibility is to provide the word of the day. That will be freedom, and I'm putting right now in the chat. Freedom is the power or right to act, to speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. The second meaning is the power of self-determination attributed to the will, the quality of being independent of fate or necessity. And there's a beautiful quote from Nelson Mandela: "For everything that is really great and inspiring is created by the individual who can labor in freedom. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chain, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." And I'll give my report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Alex. Moving on next to our awe counter, which is Mr. Dan Craig. Dan, can you share?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. My job as awe counter is to listen for filler words that we use when we should just be letting a pause settle in. I listen for things like like, so, or words like or well, or any other custom kind of fillers that are used. I'll keep track and then I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Dan. And also later this evening, Jean Symington Craig will be our general evaluator for this evening. And Art Atkinson will be our famous joke master at the end of the meeting. Now, it is my opportunity to give Nick his send-off or his speech. And Nick, let me look this one back up. Hang on, bud. Okay, here it is. Tonight is a special night for our Toastmasters Club. Our speaker has invited us up to Iowa City and into Kinnick Stadium for a speech he's going to give at halftime. Take a chance to look at his screen if this will be your first trip to Kinnick to picture the surroundings. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to direct your attention to midfield. Nick Campney makes his first return to the Kinnick field in more than a decade with his speech. Hello, Iowa.
Hello, Iowa. Man, what a beautiful day today. What a beautiful feeling to be back here in Kinnick, surrounded by black and gold, to feel the energy of Iowa. I love it. Man, this chance we have, we all come here together to share in this moment, to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen? I love how we all get together after a Hawkeye touchdown, and around the stadium, they cry out, I-O-W-A, over and over. Or when the opposition comes down into the red zone, it gets so loud here. It's so noisy. There's confusion, anticipation brewing. How are we going to stop this momentum? How can we ask for a miracle, something special to happen? Do you realize that's why you're all here? Do you realize that feeling is the core of why you're in this stadium tonight? You see, you could have stayed at home. That wouldn't compare at all to the feeling of sitting shoulder to shoulder with 70,000 people all watching the same thing, feeling the same thing, hoping for the same thing. Now I wish, and I invite you too, to carry that right out of the stadium today. Imagine what this world would be like if we could carry this special unity, this feeling of togetherness, right outside of those gates. Imagine going into the store and every time you insert that chip, swipe that card, or hear the cash register go cha-ching, you see that dollar split to 1,000 parts as it travels all over the world. It lands eventually in little tiny pieces to the farmers who grow the raw materials, to the truckers who ship it into the factory, to the hundreds of people in each factory that do each unique task that turns it into that product that you know and love, and eventually into the store and to the cashier who hands it to you. Now, what if that cashier who cracked a little joke and made you smile could see how that smile rippled throughout the day? Imagine you're feeling all light because you just had a little laugh. And as you walk out, you hold the door for the person coming in. And then you go on to your office. Your coworkers are exceptionally jovial. The customer that you're talking with, will you share that same smile and joke to them? And that first cashier of the day could see all of that one moment, one joke, one smile, how it passed throughout the whole world. Doesn't that give you a reason to celebrate? Just like a touchdown, that we're here together all the time in a team of a beautiful world. Man, that's a reason to have some joy and excitement and enthusiasm for life. Man, that excites me, fills my heart. Imagine even if that car that cuts you off and makes you stop at the red light, where you take a couple breaths and have a pause in your day, allows you to see a friend over there that you've been thinking about for weeks and just hadn't had a chance to talk to or reach out. And just seeing them reminds you of that connection that we all share together. Man, that is a team I want to be on. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to take when I walk out of this stadium. But before we do that, and before the Hawks get back on the field, we got to do a 2-minute drill. 2 minutes of gratitude. Oh, I am so grateful for this beautiful day. I'm grateful for the sun above, and on those days when there are clouds and the rain comes down, I'm grateful for that rain that helps the plants that grow all around that turn into our food. And I'm grateful for the farmer who tends to the plants and the soil way down there and the microbes and worms, so that when that water falls on the soil, it filters it so it can go out into our streams, into clean rivers where fish swim. The eagles fly down and catch so that they can soar high above our country. Vision, wisdom, and grace. And I'm grateful for all of our leaders, all of them, including the teachers and the parents and the grandparents and the social leaders and the business leaders. I'm grateful for all of you out there, leading in your own way, with your grace, your wisdom, helping to create this beautiful world. So I'm asking, take this Kinnick Stadium, take this energy, take this joy, and walk it right out those gates. And see, Monday through Friday, see a beautiful world, team that we're all part of.
Wow.
Thank you, Nick, for such a wonderful speech. Well, fellow Toastmasters, at this point, we're going to take a couple minutes, and I'm being the timer, going to give you a couple minutes, and we're all going to send Nick a private chat. Oh, let's go ahead and start. 2 minutes. Now we're going to be moving on to our Is Rahul on? I can't see him.
No, he's not.
He is not. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to improvise.
Would anybody like to be an evaluator? I could send you the evaluations.
I will mention that I'm sorry I had to get on a little bit later with the puppy. I saw that Rahul was not on, and you had already started, Nick, so I didn't want to interrupt that flow. I did jot some notes down for, I believe I know kind of what they're trying to do.
I'll just send it so you have it.
Okay, but yeah, so we need to always make sure we've got all of our people in place when we start our meeting. And Rahul sometimes has been a little late, so you keep your fingers crossed, but it was a little too late. So, but yeah, so Nick, why don't you send it? And Bob, if we could, okay, the other piece is that Dan said this has not been discussed yet. Donna was not feeling well, and she's our table topics master. So one idea I had was that I could read some quotes, give some quotes on autonomy, and have those be used to comment on when it's your turn to be table topics. That's a thought. Or if somebody else has another idea, that would be fine too. But I think Nick is the higher priority. So
My suggestion is that we do a round robin evaluation verbally. Give him the insights that we each have. Perhaps take a minute and a half for each one of us so that Nick gets a decent evaluation out of this.
okay, so we basically have 2 to 3 minutes in the schedule, so we can't quite do it like that. I'm thinking since we're all sending our comments anyway to Nick, that can suffice as the feedback from people. So that would be your comments to Nick. Nick, are you getting some of those?
Yep.
Okay.
Like Art or anybody else, I'd be happy to get feedback, out of the schedule if you want to share later.
Some of us are a little slower. That's all.
Okay.
That way
So
we still get to do table topics.
yeah. So Bob, why don't we go ahead and let me evaluate Nick, because I did start seeing that we were going to need that.
Okay. And
But I don't have the material, but I
Did you?
basic.
I sent it to you. If
Yeah,
but
let me.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, let me just. I can. There you are. I just didn't want to spend too much time on. Let's see, what is it?
Or sometimes don't we come back to it?
Let me just say the purpose of this project is to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance a speech. This member has chosen to only be evaluated on vocal variety for their speech. Is that correct?
No, both are good.
Both are good. Okay. This is a member will present a well-organized speech on any topic. Listen to how the member uses their voice to communicate and enhance the speech. And we'll also be looking for gestures. Speech can be humorous, informational, or any style. Okay, good. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, but great, because you had great gestures as well. So let me just go ahead, Bob, and we'll just, we're just kind of improvising, like you said. Everyone can put more extended comments in and you could make them to everybody if you want. So everybody sees the comments if you prefer that, if that's okay with Nick.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Is that okay with everybody? Is that okay with you, Art? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Bob, you'll give me 2 to 3 minutes as soon as I shut my mouth, and then I'll start again.
Okay.
Okay.
We're off.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, and particularly Nick. I'm so excited to see how well Nick incorporated the vocal variety pieces of the project as well as the gestures. He really is going to get some high marks from me on the evaluation form. Right away, I started noticing that he had one point where he used a triad. I don't know if this project talks about triads. It's more how you say it and way you say it. But a triad is where you say, I hope you're seeing, I hope you're feeling, and I'm seeing, I'm feeling, and I'm hoping that we're all, so that power of a 3 is used. And that's, so extra kudos if it wasn't mentioned in the project. He used this team metaphor very well. Started out in Kinnick Stadium, and I thought, okay, this is going to be about football and like that. But he morphed it into how we're all on a team together. And so I'm bringing up content because I want to emphasize that he did use and interweave team statements throughout his speech, even when he was pretty much far away from Kinnick Stadium. So that helped integrate the content and kept it on track, in my opinion. So I noticed that particularly when I said, so it's just, and he was talking about something, and I said, and so it's just like a touchdown. And that's how we're all in this together in the team. And I went, so he's really working this team angle. Gestures. He had so many gestures. I almost can't. I normally have little stick figures that I use to try to, shorthand what the gestures are. But he was doing like over there, and the vision and the heart and it was the wisdom, and he had rain. It was the water falling on the soil. He had so many. And they weren't overdone. They were just part of, it's like he was showing with his hands. I thought it was really, really well done. So I've given all these good parts and explained where I saw really an excellent presentation. I think that what he could do to play with it next time and even more would be to interject a little bit of dialogue in some of those. Like some of you may be saying, but I don't like that person, or just some little bit of dialogue that could possibly add further texture to the talk. And also some louder and softer pieces. I think he was often in this kind of hushed, like awe-inspiring tone. But it could be nice to have something that was sort of a punchy, like, louder and then softer, because a lot of it was in the soft range. Great speech.
I think that it has the kind of bones that would make for a good international speech entry.
I did too. I was thinking the same thing, because it's really got that heart, and it's got that bigger message. It's not too late to get in there, Nick, if you want to. It's the 12th.
I agree. I think this will be a great speech for our competition.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
nice.
don't think it's the time, though. I got birthdays and spring break trip and just a lot of other things going on in life that.
And you know what? You're not eligible. So that's.
There you go.
I just remembered you're not eligible, but keep that in your back pocket so that when you are eligible.
You've got a great start in your hip pocket now.
Yeah.
Next contest cycle,
Mm-hmm.
you could do very well with the speech.
I mean, an Iowa audience, Kinnick Stadium, come on. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like tailored. So that's, I'm done. I will hand it back now. Thank you for all of that. And thank you, Nick. And I'll hand it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jean, for pulling that out. That was wonderful. And now we're going to move on to our table topics. And how we gonna, what did you decide? We're going to do what you suggested, Jean?
What we could do is, and I asked, let's see, where am I here? Okay. Don't do that. Okay, so I can go ahead and give some nice some quotes where places and be the table topics master. Just again, I'm just kind of pulling it. I just found this out pretty much late in the day. So is that all right with people?
Sure, thank you.
You know, because okay, so let's see here. All right, so who would like to go first?
I will.
Okay. Okay. All right, Art, here's a quote from a Maxine Bernier, and she is a Canadian, or he is a Canadian businessman. Nationalism can be a destructive force when it promotes intolerance and division, but it can also be a force for good when it seeks to defend local autonomy against the homogenizing forces of larger entities. Tell us what you might think about that.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. This is a huge topic and one that has absorbed the interest of deep thinkers and political actors for at least the last 500 years. The Roman Empire was one of those homogenizing influences that dealt with a huge variety of tribes and peoples and cultures different from its own, and resisted the urge to flatten those differences and homogenize the empire, and is widely credited with the success of its existence due to the fact that it resisted the impulse to do what you described as homogenization. They left a large degree of freedom to the conquered peoples, so long as the peoples contributed tribute to Rome. It was all about the money. They could maintain their cultures separate and distinct. In the time subsequent to the Roman Empire, different nationalities have risen, and the concept of the nation state has arisen, and it's demonstrated its capability to produce friction and war, and yet it answers the human need to express uniqueness and difference and not be homogenized. And we're right now on the cusp of more of the same, not only in North America and our neighbor to the north, but in Central Asia. We're dealing with difficulties due to nationality and nationalism. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Art.
Well, Okay, so that'll come, so I'll be the table topics master, and thank you for that, Art. I thought that was right up your alley. Who would like to go next? I'll try not to make them too hard. A lot of them are a little weighty here.
Go easy on me, Jean, okay?
Okay. So you want to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Should I
This-
time myself or?
Can someone time Bob?
I have good moral autonomy, okay? I can.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know, but it's just, I'd like you to feel like you can sink into the topic.
Okay.
Can anyone, Dan, can you time him?
Alex said she would.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the quote, so I'm not exactly looking at, okay, so this is from Dennis Waitley. He's an American writer. I'm going to give you the quote and then I'll ask you how it applies in your own life. Listen to the desires of your children. Encourage them and then give them the autonomy to make their own decision. Do you agree or disagree? How have you seen this in your own life with your own children, Bob?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. This has been going on since the beginning of time, pushing or evaluating or encouraging or loving your children. And when it's their turn to step out into the world, you have to believe that what you put into them, they're going to actually follow through. That they listen to their moral autonomy compass inside of them. There's a lot of things pulling kids here and there and everywhere. And I was pulled in different directions as well. They make light for funny stories when I tell them. However, when it comes to reality with my children, I choose that they don't make those same choices that I did. As it was once said to me, it should be learned as a life lesson, not as just an entertaining story. I have poured a lot into my children, and I believe that they not only stand on themselves, but they pull from their resources. They listen to the core values that I've instilled in them. Sometimes it was soft-spoken, sometimes it was angrily spoken. But either which way, however it got into their subconscious, they're able to push forward and look at the good that I taught them, as well as the bad things that I did, and able to sort of bottleneck them to come out to a purest form that gives them the best benefit in life, that they'll be able to share with their children, their family, and others around and their surroundings.
Good dad, good dad. All right. Who would like the next one? And maybe say your name because I'm looking at the quotes and it covers up the Dan.
My name is Dan.
Your name is Dan. Okay. Is there anyone else named Dan? Well, the real Dan, please stand up. No, okay.
Dan the man with the plan.
All right.
All right.
Dan, here's a quote. Sanjaya Baru, who is an Indian public servant, according to this. Strategic autonomy is not secured by merely asserting one's independence. It is secured by creating mutually beneficial interdependencies.
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. I believe the essence of this quote is explaining to us that, particularly in the long run, there's just no way that we can be an island unto ourselves. If we think about a country, no way in this interconnected world that we can just do whatever we want and expect no unfortunate effects coming back if we're harming someone else or creating something that is not within their idea of what they want to do. So mutually interdependent dependencies, I don't think I got the phrase exactly right, but would just mean that if you can have these relationships with win-win situations where one country can produce a certain type of good, provide it to another country, receive the proper remuneration for it without involving any type of slave labor or taking advantage of any persons in your country or in their country. If you can have those win-win kind of situations, then you have something that can stay in balance. If you can approach all of your relationships, inter-country relationships in that way, knowing that everything that I want for the benefit of my country needs to also be beneficial to the other, then there's a homeostasis that could occur and everyone could continue to feel autonomous in their own country. When everyone is doing the opposite, trying to get just what they want at the expense of the other, it's eventually, it can't last a long time. Eventually there will be conflicts and the autonomy just can't continue.
Okay. Are we doing on time? Do we have time for another one or?
We are 8:26. I believe we have, yes, we still have time for one more.
Okay. Okay, Alex. Alex, you're the table topics evaluator, right?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have someone evaluate Alex? This would be a little dessert evaluation, a mini hors d'oeuvre, since it's table topics. I can't see if someone's raising their hand. Is anyone?
Yeah, Art.
Art is raising his hand. Okay.
Yes.
Art's in the bottom right-hand corner of my thing, so let's see. Okay, Alex. This is a quote by Neil Blumenthal, who is an American businessman. I try to get people that you've heard of. I haven't necessarily heard of these people, but that's okay. All right, here's the quote. We all have a personal recipe for productivity. One person may need 6 cups of autonomy and just a pinch of collaboration. Another person may require heaps of sociability and noise with just a teaspoon of occasional privacy. Where do you think you fit?
Thanks, Ms. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. What is work? No, I'm just kidding. I would say this is a great quote, by the way. This is a beautiful explanation of the styles, of different styles of workforce, or of how people feel comfortable and in what environment they feel comfortable and productive. Personally, I like to blend. I work well in team, and I also work well by myself. I can be my own cheerleader and my champion when I have to do projects on my own and create deadlines for myself and be in time and be determined. But I also enjoy collaborating and working with other people and sharing and receiving different ideas. I feel that working in those settings make time goes by faster. It's much more pleasurable, and it's just I think it's more productive, even more productive. So I would say that I think I tend more to go towards working together with a team. I like to be part of a team when I'm working on a project, although I do like to do my things on my own. But I think working and collaborating with people make all the difference for me personally. Thank you.
Okay. Bob, any more, or are we, where
Yes,
are we?
So we're at 8:30 and 8:32 would see our qualifications. I believe we're out of time.
Okay, okay.
Now, we're going to move on to the timer to see who qualified.
Mhm.
And everyone qualified. Art qualified, I qualified, Dan qualified, and Alex qualified.
Okay.
All right. And Jean qualified on our evaluation. Now we're going to go back to Jean again. Is that correct?
Why don't we send,
The table topics. So, yep.
yeah,
To me.
to you.
Yes.
So
If
it's
you-
Alex and Dan and Bob and Art. Is that right?
Yes. And
Nick
just-
escaped that one. I don't quite know how that happened, but yeah. He's basking still from his presentation. Yeah.
Still feel it?
Yeah, he's just feeling it. I want what he's having. Okay. So, all right. So be sure to send your votes to Bob on this, and let's go ahead and do our table topics evaluator. And that would be Alex. Alex, how many table topics do you have to evaluate?
I have 3. I have
Okay.
Mark, Bob, and Dan.
Okay, so that's a 2 to 3 minute.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and time her for that. Thank you, Alex.
Yes. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. I have to say that I almost failed my responsibility of being an evaluator, but thank God that my other responsibility was to be a grammarian. So I was making notes, so I'm gonna try to use that. I didn't get the quotes, I don't remember the quotes, but the first speaker was Art, and I don't remember the quote, what he was asked, but he went right on into answering the question, and he did it beautifully. He used a lot of pauses. He went on and used beautiful phrases to describe what he was explaining. One of the phrases that caught my attention was, he said, resist the urge to be marginalized. It stuck with me, and maintained the culture in a separate and distinct way when he was explaining about what Rome did. So Art did a great job at answering the question, and he did a great job. I have really no suggestions to Art. The next speaker was Bob. Also had a beautiful quote. I think it was about children, about teaching autonomy to children. And he went right on into answering that. And being a great father that he is, he had great examples to give. So it made it very easy for him to answer that question. And he also used beautiful phrases. He said that giving autonomy to kids, it's something that's been going on since the beginning of life. And that he wishes that his kids learn to listen to their own moral compass. I thought that was very beautiful. Also, I don't have a suggestion to Bob. He did a great job in answering the question. So great job, Bob. And I also don't remember the quote that was asked. But Dan did a great job elaborating. He did take some time. He paused. He greeted the audience, and he went on in answering the quote. And I think the quote was something about, becoming isolated with yourself then, or being a collective. So he said that there is no way that we can be an island for ourselves, that we are mutually mutual interdependencies. So I thought that was very nice. And he said also that beautifully, he said homeostasis could occur and everyone could feel autonomous. I thought that was very beautiful. I also don't have a suggestion to Dan. He did a great job. I think everybody today did a great job with the quotes. So that's my evaluation. Thank you. Which also will be used for the grammar report.
All right, and then Art, you were evaluating.
Yes.
Yeah, I evaluated Alex's table topic. She got the question about what is the recipe for productivity? Does it involve solo work, teamwork with others? How does it work for you? She answered the question directly. She greeted the audience. She explained the degree to which she's comfortable working solo and comfortable working in teams. And as the talk developed, she landed on what wins for me is working with people in teams. So she came around to discover her answer in the course of talking about the subject. She wrapped it up by directly answering that it was teamwork.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Very good. All right. Did our evaluator qualify, Mr. Timer?
Yes. Our evaluator qualified.
Okay, congratulations. All right. Now we'll move on to the reports. And let me get back to where I was from where Nick sent me, or where I went for Nick. Let's see. Okay. All right, Bob, as our timer, would you please give us the who and what were the times?
Yes. Our prepared speech, which Nick gave his speech this evening, he was 7 minutes and 20 seconds. He qualified. Jean is our evaluator. She was 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Alex was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. For table topics, Art was 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Go Art. And I was
scare me.
and then I was 1 minute, 50 seconds. Dan, he was 2 minutes, 29 seconds. Boy, you guys are neck and neck. And Alex was 1 minute and 50 seconds. And that's the timer's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Timer. Now we'd like to hear from our grammarian who, jeepers, did we say freedom at all? We were,
I did.
all right. Okay, okay, that's Alex's job to tell us. All right. So thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Ms. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. For the grammarian report, we had great speakers today. We have Art answering the first question, and one of the phrases that catch my attention was maintain the culture separate and distinct. I thought that was very nice when he was explaining about Rome. Bob, when he was also saying about what he wishes for his kids, I really liked that he said that he wanted them to create their own moral compass. I thought that was very nice. And for Dan, when he was answering his question, I thought that the fact that he used that there is no way we can be an island for ourselves. I thought that was very nice, explaining that we are part of a collective. The only person that used freedom, the word of the day, was Art. Did a great job. He used it once. And that's my report for today.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to our odd counter for the evening. And that would be Dan.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Our first speaker was Nick. So far as I could hear, he was completely clean. Wonderful job.
Yeah.
Jean had a handicap tonight. She had a lot of figuring out and explaining and thinking out loud, and that resulted in a few filler words. She had 5 ahs and 3 uhs, 2 1 1 o, 1 and a false start, and 3 all rights. Art was clean as far as I could hear. Bob had 1 and Alex was fairly clean until it came time to do the evaluation.
Mhm.
And then the ahs and the uhs really poured out. I think there were about 9 or 10 ahs and about 10 uhs. Then there were also a few about 5 ands and 1 false start. So you get the ribbon. That's my report.
Thank you. Looks like now we get to have our joke for the evening, and our joke master is Art Atkinson.
2 old guys are pushing their shopping carts around Walmart and collide. The first guy says to the second, "Sorry about that. I'm looking for my wife, and I guess I wasn't paying attention to where I was going." The other guy says, "That's okay. It's a coincidence. I'm looking for my wife too. I can't find her, and I'm getting a little desperate." First guy says, "Well, maybe I can help you find her. What does she look like?" Second guy says, "Well, she's 27 years old, tall, red hair, blue eyes, long legs, wearing short shorts. What does your wife look like?" To which the first guy says, "It doesn't matter. Let's look for yours."
Very funny, very funny. Okay, very good. Thank you, Art. That was genuinely humorous. Now we're at the general evaluator phase. I will evaluate Alex, maybe make a couple of comments about the meeting. Alex, as an evaluator, I think what I got from what you said was that it was a whoops moment. You forgot you were the evaluator, which happens sometimes. You just zone out on what you're supposed to be doing, and then it's tricky to try to get caught up. Also, the quotes were not something you could easily summarize. So normally we ask for nice, pithy, open-ended questions, but a quote is a quote. So you just have to roll with that. And so you mentioned that you just mentioned positive things about people, no suggestions. So of course, you know that I would say we'd want to try to have a suggestion. But hey, when you're trying to catch up, because you just realized that you were not not on the task, sometimes that's tricky. The one thing I want to mention that I would mention for Alex would be suggestion would be to really try to branch out on words that get overused. The words that I really heard a lot of, and we're all guilty of that to a certain degree, was beautiful and great and a little bit of nice, but beautiful and great were used constantly. So the request or the challenge would be try to think up something that's a bit more descriptive. What was beautiful about it? Is there some way to say that differently that's more targeted? Same with great. If there's some other way to say that, then expand those vocabularies. That's just something. So those are my comments for Alex. I didn't really evaluate Art. He was a dessert feature, but he didn't have a suggestion. So I would just say have a suggestion, but we were all just doing our best here tonight, which is something we do really well. We really improvise well and we fill in when we need to. And I just think that's just remarkable. Again, I'm saying not great. It is great, but it's also remarkable and noteworthy that our club is able to do that and our members can do that. And just to comment again about the meeting, again, we just had we always have such a good meeting. Excellent, outstanding presentation from Nick. So fun to watch him taking a hold of his projects and moving along that way. Just really looking forward to seeing what comes next. And just to mention, as a Toastmaster, and we all do this, Toastmaster and General Evaluator want to see, in our club, we have the Toastmaster look and make sure we've got an counter's present and accounted for, or the grammarian is there. And if that person is not there and the meeting is ready to start, somebody needs to be assigned that. Now if you're late, if that's your role and you're late, sometimes we say, oh, okay, well, we'll, go ahead and take that. You want to go ahead and take it. If we're not, but generally the rule has been that if you're not there by the time the meeting starts, your role gets reassigned and you don't have that role for the evening.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just something we all pay attention to in that hubbub at the beginning. It's why we try to get there a little bit early so we can figure stuff like that out and then we can start on time. It's no biggie, but that was a good educational opportunity this evening to see how that works. And it all worked. It's all fine. But that's what we do. So, and with that, I will hand the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Bob.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'd just like to make one comment this evening. When Dan was giving his evaluation to Jean, whether he realized it or not, he was saying that Jean had 3 all right, which instantly clicked to my mind to Matthew McConaughey and the Dazed and Confused, his opening line, all right.
And it was a triad, so
That's what I thought.
although I probably didn't do them all at the same place. But.
Next time, man, now you know how to get it out there, okay? Do your best, McConaughey. Now we're going to move on to the meeting awards. And we're going to start out with table topics for this evening. Can we have a drum roll, please? Jean, you got your
Yep.
little blue light special?
I'm ready, Mr. Toastmaster. I'm ready.
All right. Dan, you might as well keep that smile on your face, bud, because you are the man. Go, Dan. Yay. Good job, Dan.
Extra points for qualifying.
Yeah.
That's not the one I have trouble with.
Oh.
It's the evaluator.
And for our best evaluator for this evening, which I didn't have it post me, so I don't know.
Where'd he go? Bob was so excited, he just flipped over in his chair. Bob, are you okay over there?
Oh my God.
Bob,
We're
come
off,
back to
Bob.
us.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. Now you're in suspense. Now you're the best evaluator is, right?
We can't see you, Bob. We're seeing a great thing.
Let's see.
No,
I
It's
think
all
he
right,
probably
Bob.
closed his laptop by mistake.
did you close your Oh, no, he's good. There you go.
I closed
There
my
he
one.
is.
I did.
Yay.
Yep.
Yay.
I did. Yeah.
Welcome back.
I didn't get sunburned. This is my rosy red embarrassment face. Okay. Oh, we'll let that happen again. Where was I? Oh yeah, best evaluator. Oh, I gotta laugh at yourself sometimes. Gene and Alex, yay! I don't know Gene because we
I
didn't
think-
send it to each other.
I know.
so-
I was a stand-in. So I was saying,
Yeah.
I'm thinking Alex qualified time-wise. And
Yes.
so Alex is our evaluator for the evening.
Yay.
Yay, Alex.
Uh,
Right.
All right. And then we have our best speaker for the night, Mr.
Drum roll, drum roll,
All
drum
right,
roll.
Mr. Iowa native, Nick Gimpy. Yay! Yeah. Good job, Nick.
Thanks, Bob.
You bet. Now we're going to pass this meeting back over to our president, Mr. Art Atkinson. Art, any closing statement?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this contest and hearing you launch forth with Life in the Fast Lane. And I wish I could hear Nick give this amazing speech that he just showed to us. But that'll have to wait for a year or so.
Yeah.
I guess it's now 12 days away or 11 days away. I'll get one more chance to practice table topics next week before I go see what I can do. And I've never entered a table topics competition before, so I'm going to be a newbie at that.
You know, Art, I think you need to, I don't know if you remember how I used to always come in so close to 3 minutes and 30 seconds on my evaluations. And we thought, oh, that's cool. Like she's really cutting it close and everything. That's not what you want to do. So maybe next week, practice coming in, no more than 2 minutes, 15 seconds.
Good
Because
suggestion.
you will slide right over, and then that'll be a bummer. Because yeah. So just, and that came from the trainers. They just said you've got to cut it sooner. Practice cutting it sooner, and then if you exceed a little bit, you'll still be okay.
Good suggestion. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bob, the same. Bob, just
Keep it tight, right?
keep it. Don't disqualify. It's such a drag.
Okay.
But if you do, we'll still love you. We'll still love you. It's okay. It's okay.
All right. I've been implementing your changes that everybody gave to me last week or the week before, whatever. Especially Dan, I've been really thinking about that, how I got to turn it into a life lesson and keep the speech within the time.
Mhm.
And just trying to figure that out, whether I put the tail end or the front end or just sprinkle it in between.
Do you remember the championship speech that we watched a few weeks ago? The guy with the flat tire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could send you the link on that. He did it in a very interesting way. He had something to start out with to kind of engage the audience, and then he stepped back and did his little message, and then he was back into his story.
Okay.
That's one way to make it work pretty well.
All right. If you could send that, it'd be great.
Okay. Art, item of business, if I could.
Sure.
As treasurer, I want to remind everybody that we pay semi-annual dues no later than the end of March. So we want to start thinking about making those dues payments. Most of you have started to use PayPal pretty regularly. It's $45. We're still not charging any club dues. The $45 is just the amount that we pay to TI. So if you would want to start making those payments or keeping in mind to do it soon, we don't want to wait too long. We want to make sure that all those get in. We have to have a minimum of 8 members renewing to be a viable club.
Why don't we say that they need to be paid in either by PayPal or some other method by the 22nd, which is the third Tuesday evening meeting of the month. Leaving.
That sounds good. I'll just make this little reminder each time, if that's okay. If anybody wants to send a check, you can just mail it to me, and I can give you the address if you ask for it.
Everyone should have a roster from me, which is up to date and has all of your names and
Right.
contact information on it.
Right. Okay.
Then what is the PayPal information to send the payment?
What is the email address?
GSTM7515@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you, Art. Art set that up.
Art,
So-
could you put that email in the chat?
Yeah,
Thank you.
1 second.
I think I got it.
I'm gonna double check what I just told you to make sure there's no dashes or
That 7515 is our club number, in case you wondered what that is. That's the Golden Speakers Club number. GSTM, Golden Speakers, Toastmasters. Art and Bob are going to be competing in the Area 81. That's the area that we're in, is going to be an Area 81 contest. And ultimately, and then if whoever wins on those goes to Division Z. We are in Division Z. It's a food chain. And then after that, we're in District 19. So there's 4 divisions in District 19. And then, so I think it's WXYZ, makes sense. And then each division has its own number of areas and then clubs within areas. So that's how it works. That's the architecture.
the Gmail address that Nick put into the chat is correct.
Okay. Good. So we have Art, and then so we have us, we have Rahul, and we have Donna. So if we all are renewing, we'll be in our 8. So that would be very good. 8's a magic number. More is completely fine, but 8 is what keeps us in good standing. That's a term, in good standing. Art, any thought about the officer meeting?
It slipped my mind, but we should be able to decide it right now.
Because I can't do it tomorrow. So
Could we do it a week
Doing-
from tomorrow?
we could do it a week from tomorrow. From my
That works.
perspective.
That works for me, Tuesday night, the 8th.
Okay,
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, the 9th,
Usually Wednesday night, the 9th.
right?
That'll work.
Okay. Okay,
I do have a question.
yeah,
I received an email from one of our district managers. I was asking to sign up to be a judge or something.
uh-huh.
Do I fill it up and say, yeah, I will be, even though I'm entering? I mean, is someone
You can be a judge.
each and a judge, or is it just have one role?
You can be a judge of the other contest.
Of like
So-
art, but
Yeah,
not
table topics because you're in it.
right.
And we know you have moral
No, it's
autonomy and
it's the other way.
No, it's the other way around. He's not in table topics. He's in the internet.
all right, right. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, forget it. That, yes.
So you can't judge the international contest, but you could
Right.
judge table
Right.
topics.
Like he said, that's, I was trying to say that.
I just
Okay.
respond to the email because I didn't know how to respond to it until I
If
talked.
if you meet the other criteria that were in that email, you can be a judge and that would be great.
Okay.
All right, and just to help with the contest because you'll be there. That's really nice.
Mhm.
Art, maybe you could judge. You feel like
Yeah,
judging?
I had jumped to the conclusion that I was not eligible being a competitor, but I could judge the international contest and
Mhm.
I should volunteer to do that.
They always are looking for people to help round out. So being a timer, I mean, any of those things are needed. You have to have a timer. So that's great. You guys can do that. It'll make it more fun and, keep you busy. I don't think you could be a timer because you're in the contest. So, you could be judges.
Okay.
All right. Are we, any speeches? I'm open. Speech scheduling is open for business. Anyone who wants to do anything like that can do that. And if I don't hear from someone, I just as a thought, Bob says he's doing a major rework on his speech. If we didn't have a manual speech next week, as opposed to doing table topics or some other thing that I might cook up, would we want to give Bob one more chance to do his speech again?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
sometimes,
Would
Yeah.
you
Would you
take
wanna-
the opportunity if you had it, Bob, to do another dry run?
I can. Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, I said
Okay.
it a million times in my head, and yeah.
well, it just might help you, because it's just, it
No, it
gets it
helps
more
me.
in your mouth. It gets it
It
into your
does.
mouth more and more. And
Yep.
you're going to be on a stage. You're not going to be on a Zoom. So
Maybe a standing one.
you could do a little bit more like, it's really hard with trying to, but we'll try to help you, whatever you want to do. You can, but when you practice, you could practice in your basement there or wherever you are
Mm-hmm.
and practice being, moving.
I feel more comfortable on stage than I do on Zoom, for whatever reason.
Good. So that'll be your zone then. Okay, but again, if someone wants to if someone wants to do a manual speech, that'll take priority, but we'll also, if not, we'll go ahead. So let me know soon. And then otherwise, Bob, you can tell us again this story. Okay, that's it from the BPE.
Okay, then I adjourn this meeting to Tuesday, the 8th at 7:40.
Mhm.
We'll reconvene.
Woo! Touchdown. Woo!